Thank you all so much for being here at Encore's XS. I'm John Anik. It is my pleasure to host today's special press conference just 2 days before one of the biggest sporting events of the year, UFC 148. So what was it like to get the call and the opportunity to replace Rich Franklin in this spot, a huge spot on short notice against Kung Lee?
It's awesome. You know, I didn't expect to be back in the UFC with a big fight like that, but I think that they put me in a big fight like that because they know I'm going to deliver it. You know what? I'm a big fan of Kung Lee. I like his style. I think it's going to be a spectacular fight.
So Rich Franklin, his former opponent, went all the way to Singapore to find sparring partners, felt maybe he could find some guys to mirror Kung Lee's style. Obviously, you didn't have that luxury given you're stepping up here on short notice. What is the biggest challenge in facing such a gifted and unorthodox striker?
Like you said, he's very unorthodox. He's agile. He's tricky, you know, very agile with his legs, good power. So, you know, I don't need to go anywhere. You know, I have all I need in Montreal in my camp. I brought some good southpaw kicker in my camp too. So I'm ready. You know, it's a fight. So you never know what's going to happen. But I did my homework for this fight, and I'm ready for this time. I'm ready to give a good fight.
Now, you've starred in a lot of major motion pictures. You've choreographed fight scenes for other huge movies. But you've said competing in the UFC right now takes priority over everything else, yeah?
Definitely competing in the UFC is on top of the list. So I started out in martial arts. I love to compete, and I'm going to try to compete as long as I could. Can't fight forever, but I'm going to do it as long as I could.
All right, well, to that end, you've won a lot of titles in so many martial arts, kung fu, kickboxing, sanshou. You've also tasted MMA glory as the Strikeforce middleweight champion. But to get a win here on this Anderson Silva, Chael Sonnen massive card showcase, how would that accomplishment compare to your other achievements in combat sports?
Being part of UFC was a huge accomplishment, and you know, I'm looking for my first win. It's going to be a very tough fight, very competitive fight against Patrick Corte, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad he took the fight on last-minute notice, and thank you for that. And you know, fighters get injured all the time, and it's just part of the game. And Rich Franklin pulled out to take over, you know, for Vitor, and now I think this is an exciting matchup for all the fans.
And you said this is the fight that you wanted. It was actually put together mutually by you and Forrest Griffin. What was it about this matchup that made you want to run it back again for what is your final UFC fight?
You know, I think it really comes down to the fights we had prior. They speak for themselves. It was probably the most exciting fights that we had, and Forrest shows great heart. And someone to excel me to that level, I want to fight guys like that. I want guys to run away from me and so forth. Guys who fight, and Forrest is a guy who fights.
They were both close.
And they're both very, very close. And I don't know. On Saturday night, we're going to prove and see who the best guy is.
Now, you've said the three biggest highlights of your career, winning the world title versus Wanderlei Silva, tapping out Ryan Bader as a 5-1 underdog, and beating Ken Shamrock in the first big mega fight of the modern era. What do you believe, as you sit here right now, is your single greatest UFC accomplishment?
God, I'd say becoming the world champion, you know. A young punk kid who was on the street, who, you know, was around gangs, drugs, parents who were drug addicts. I wasn't to accept to be special in life, and I worked hard and I dedicated myself, and I became a world champion only after a year and a half of competition. I believed in being the best I possibly can be, and I became that. And I think I look back on my career right now, and that's the thing that stands out more than anything, because I was able to accomplish something that I was never supposed to do. And it shows what hard work and dedication can accomplish. And that's why I try to be an inspiration in people's lives. And that's when I changed my name from the bad boy to the people's champ, is to make a difference to every one of the humans on earth, man, that you can make a difference as long as you keep your mind focused and work hard. And that's what I've done.
Now, Dana White said a while back you were a lock to go into the Hall of Fame at some point. How much more special is it, though, to be inducted on the day of your final fight and to get to walk to the octagon one final time as a UFC Hall of Famer?
I haven't really thought about it. I've just been training. I've just been wanting to fight and just go out and do what I usually do. I don't know, the Hall of Fame is something that I'm very thankful, you know, for Dana and Lorenzo to induct me to this thing. It just shows to my fans that, you know, all my hard work does pay off, and I'm very thankful to it. And on Saturday, when I wake up that morning, I guess we're just going to have to tell how it all, you know, comes out, the outcome of it. But the most important thing right now to me is get in a cage and fight at the capacity that I know I can go fight at.
We know how competitive you are. We know your wit and sense of humor has endeared you to UFC fans across the world, but I'm going to ask you to take this question very seriously. You have said if you can't beat Tito Ortiz, you will retire from life. You obviously have some pressure as the 4-1 favorite, but how much pressure are you putting on yourself to make sure you come through in this spot and to not let him go off into retirement by winning this series?
Well, shit, if I said it, it must be true. So there you go. I'll stand behind it. All right, Tito said something that kind of spoke to me. He said, you know, this is, you know, I'll die for this. I will die for that. You know, and at first it sounds kind of outlandish, but if you really think about it, you know, in 20 or 30 years, if I'm remembered for anything, it's going to be for fighting. You know, I was never, you know, a soldier, a fireman, a cop, or, you know, I never put my life on the line in another capacity. This is the closest thing to being a hero I'll ever come. So yeah, I'll die for this. And I thought about that. I thought about that comment I made. I thought about what I was doing a long time ago when I started training for this fight. I thought this fight was going to be maybe May 5th, you know? So I'm ready. I've worked on a lot of new things. And, you know, I took it serious. I never really called anybody out before, you know? I never asked for an opponent before. So I figured if I was going to do that, I better make damn sure that I was ready.
All right, well, you guys have already shared the octagon for 30 minutes. You know each other quite well. Can there be any surprises stylistically at this point in time? And what do you think when the octagon door closes, this fight's going to come down to?
Oh, yeah, that was for me. I don't know. You know, it's hard to say. That's kind of predictive analysis. You know, you know, I know it's going to be a big day for Tito, and I know he's going to come in with a big head of steam. You know, Hall of Fame, final fight, fighting me. I know he gets motivated to fight me. You know, I just have to make sure that I'm prepared to match that intensity right from the jump.